Hello, once again, this is Brother Teacher. Does the blue wall of silence by policemen and policewomen make them criminals? That's the question for today. And to some, it will be rhetorical, and to others, it will be something that you would really have to consider very strongly because you might be part of that institution. But let me say this, I find it disturbing when there's an organization that says that they are here, that their sole purpose is to protect and to serve a community in which they work in. If that is your moniker, if that indeed is your purpose, then why have a code of silence? It sounds to me and many others that hear this very statement made that you have something to hide that you would not want the general population to know. Now, what could you possibly or would you possibly want to hide from the public that you say that you serve and supposedly protect? I understand something fundamentally, and that is that human beings occupy every vocation that exists in the world. From janitors, garbage men, teachers, firemen, police officers, lawyers, judges, politicians, martial arts instructors, storekeepers, store clerks, meat department supervisors, and the list goes on. Whatever the vocation is, we can't pick and choose what is the psychosis of the individuals that we hire. And for the most part, when most people sign up for jobs, they're going to give you the best presentation of them that they possibly can so that they can acquire that position. And police officers are no different. You have people that are good, way on one extreme, and you have people that are indeed bad on the very opposite extreme, and then you have everyone in between. And irrespective of what the job title is or what the vocation or the job is in general, you're going to get some of everybody working in every capacity. You're going to have gays and lesbians working as police officers and firemen and military people, for example. You're going to have people who have anger issues working in those same capacities. You're going to have very spiritual people working in those capacities. You're going to have some people who have been victims of domestic violence and who have even perpetrated or carried out domestic violence against their partners or someone else. Do you get my point? So you can't pick and choose necessarily just by first impression what individual you're hiring for a particular job. Now, sometimes you do know who you're hiring, but oftentimes you may not know who you're hiring. Now, I want to bring it back on home to the subject at hand, and that is the wall of silence, the blue wall of silence, as it were, in the police departments nationwide. Now, I could say in the world, but I'm speaking of the United States, as it represents this particular video. So, since I've already pointed out that we have all types of individuals working in all types of jobs throughout the United States, how can we assume that everyone is good? The institution might have a certain rule. The institution might have a certain mission statement. The institution might have certain ethics, but that's the institution head. Now, when the people who operate underneath the institution are away from the main body, who knows what they're doing against the rules? Who knows whether or not they're carrying out the rules according to the letter? Now, if you watch the news enough, if you watch local news, national news, and even international news, you will know, as we all do, as far as police departments are concerned, that there is indeed a sort of secrecy when a police officer gets into trouble. It is where his or her brethren protect them, because it's sort of a brotherhood, as they say. Well, brotherhoods are no different than a church brotherhood, no different than a sorority or a fraternity brotherhood or sisterhood, no different than a gang brotherhood. You follow me so far? So they're all brotherhoods, no different than the average citizen having a family themselves, their blood relations, as it were. It's family. No matter where you are and who you are, wherever you find yourself attached, it becomes your family. There's a military family. There's a hospital family. There is a martial arts family. There's a church family. There's your biological family. There's your bingo family. There's your fire department family, your police institution family, your judicial family, the family of lawyers, bar association, all families. Now, just because you are in a family doesn't give you the right to break the law yourself at the expense of another human being's rights, at the expense of another human being's, ultimately, their lives, and that your fellow officers cover it up so that you can go free. Is that really what policing is about? Is that really what policing is supposed to represent? Now, we all know the answer. It's not. But so oftentimes, you put on the blinders. All you see is directly ahead, and you ignore the collateral damage because it's less important to you. If it's not hitting at home with you and your immediate family, you could care less about anyone else's family. So let's say you made a poor choice in judgment and you killed a black man. Now, I do say black because this is the case in America for the most part, because black men and women are being disproportionately shot down by apparently angry and scared police officers, and for whatever other reasons there may be. You cannot argue statistics, ladies and gentlemen. These are facts. But after they have blatantly taken a life, now I'm not saying that there is never a time where a police officer is not warranted in using their firearm to protect themselves or someone else. But that has not been the case in America for the past decade or longer. They have Literally, your brothers and your sisters have literally been abusing their authority. They have not been honoring their oath of office. Instead, they consider themselves above the law. And what I find equally atrocious is the fact that when you know that your fellow officers, male or female, have broken the law, instead of being vehement and adamant about exposing them and bringing them to justice, you instead cover it up, all for the sake of the brotherhood, so to speak. But does not that make you a hypocrite? Does that not make you a criminal? So I'm going to say this and I'm done. I respect all lives. I respect all human beings. But there is a problem in America when the people say that they raise their hand and they make a statement that they're going to protect the community and the community of the country in which they live from enemies, foreign and domestic. They're going to protect the communities the communities in which they live and in which they serve. But instead, they break into laws themselves and trying to cover up their dirt after they've broken the law. And then their fellow officers have nothing to say. And oftentimes you hear some of their officers, when they're interviewed, they make the statement that we're not taught to pass judgment. Such a cop-out. No one's asking you to pass judgment. We're just asking you to tell the truth. You know, the scripture says that you can judge righteous judgment. So if you see a man on the street beating on a woman and she's helpless and she can't fight back, and you say, he's abusing her, he's assaulting her, and that's wrong, and you tell him that, and he looks at you and say, don't judge me, you should reply, I'm not judging you, because it's evident what you're doing. The proof is in what I see with my eyes. You are indeed battering that person. So is that being judgmental, or is that simply telling the truth? So, Mr. Police Officer and Miss Police Officer, when your fellow officer breaks the law, you owe it to the community in which you're supposed to be serving, and you owe it to yourself to do the right thing and to expose that police officer, no matter how much it hurts you, no matter how much it's on your conscience. Because when you don't expose that officer, it's going to be more on your conscience, especially when there's an innocent life lost as a result of that officer doing a misdeed or making the wrong choice. And any police officer that protects another police officer's wrong, that police officer or those police officers that's guilty of that are wrong as well. And the so-called individuals that you refer to as criminals that you're supposed to be protecting the rest of the society against brings you and makes you defined as the same thing yourselves, a criminal. So when you protect another cop who has broken the law that you swore to uphold, my friends, you are indeed the criminal. That's it. And that's all. This is Brother Teacher. If you're a police officer, a relative of, or a friend of a police officer, and you don't like what I'm saying, just because you don't like what I'm saying doesn't mean that what I'm saying is not true. So, you're being watched. The Almighty Creator is watching you. Now, oftentimes people think, oh, just because nothing has happened to me, I'm okay. After killing that innocent person, after stealing something from the property room, after molesting one of the people that I was supposed to take into custody, after bribing someone, it's okay. Nothing's happened to me. But karma, as they say, is something else. And the Almighty, as I said before, He's watching you. And it's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time before God gets tired of you and He pulls your card. So think on these things. Think on why you actually took the oath of office. You see, everybody wearing a uniform don't represent what the uniform represents. That's a fact. Because as I forestated, there's all kinds of people in all kinds of occupations. There are people who hate who are on the police force. There are people who are passionate and compassionate about their jobs who are on the police force. Which one are you? That's all I had to say. This is Brother Teacher. I'll see you in the next video. I'm out.